Well, everybody, let's talk about productivity. So productivity is one of the most interesting aspects of a country's living standards. Most think that productivity is a great thing, and for the most part it is. Productivity, as we know, is where you have an increasing escalation of outputs, but your inputs remain the same. Or you have the same number of output, but you lessen your inputs. In essence, it's basically producing more with less. So productivity is one of the most important things that you can do. It adds a tremendous amount of wealth to an economy because the expenses stay low, but your revenues increase. But there's a couple things associated with productivity that are not beneficial to an economy, and we'll talk about those for the next couple of minutes. So 3 in particular negative aspects of rising productivity. It may sound counterproductive to say, how can productivity be negative? But here goes. First is you have fewer jobs. And why do you have fewer jobs? Higher productivity means, usually, that you need fewer workers to produce the same or more products or services. So in the United States in particular, we've used technology over these years to raise our level of productivity. And when you use technology, which as we know is the conversion process between input and output, but when you use technology and you're able to produce more without more inputs, that means you have fewer jobs. Without technology, you would have to have more employees in order to produce the same or escalating levels of output. So an inherent consequence of productivity is fewer jobs, or at least not an increase in jobs. And when you have a rising population, you certainly need rising job base. And since you have productivity, which means that you still have rising revenues without escalating inputs, then it does affect jobs. Second is lower wages. And some people go, well, why would lower wages happen? Well, if you don't have more jobs, then you have the same number of people with fewer jobs. Or in some cases, you have rising number of people with the same or less jobs. So it's a simple aspect of supply and demand. Lower supply of jobs, rising demand or supply of workers. And so that depresses wages. And so wages are either going to be stagnant or are actually going to fall because there's a greater pool of applicants or employees that would take a job, and you're not increasing the number of jobs. So those that have a job do not see an escalating increase in their wages. And in fact, over the last 15 years, the average middle-income worker has not seen a dramatic increase in pay. In fact, it's pretty much the same. The last statistic I heard is about $100 a month, which is certainly not significant. And lastly, there's a wider gap between management and employees. And this, too, some people may say, that doesn't obviously resonate with me. Well, when you can use technology to change the conversion practice, to produce more output with the same number of inputs, and usually when we talk about inputs, we're talking about line-level employees, those employees closest to getting the work done, whether it's working for the customer or actually producing the product. And since you are now lessening the number of workers that you need, it becomes incumbent on the people who can design processes or technology to do that are going to have more of the economic rewards. So in this case, you're going to see the people at the tops of the organizations receiving more monies than those at the bottom. Again, since there's less jobs but more people that want them, then you're going to have lower pay. So there's going to be a greater unequal distribution of incomes. So productivity is great. We always want productivity, but there's 3 negative externalities of those. One is that you have fewer jobs, then you have lower wages, then you have a widening gap between workers and executives. Well, I look forward to our next discussion. Everybody have a great day.